Hey guys, Snake Eyes here. So, you want to beat your friends at 500 Rummy? You know how to play the game, but you want to get more advanced in your strategies. You've come to the right place, and let's get straight to it. We're going to go over 4 main strategies for how to whoop your friends.
We're going first in this case. Why does that matter? Well, to start, we get first draw of the discard pile or from the deck. In this case, I can't use what's in the discard pile, so gotta pick up from the deck, no problem. The second main thing is, what am I going to throw out? I've got all these cards to choose from. What the heck am I going to throw out? And you might think to yourself, I'm just going to throw out whatever is the least useful to me and get on with my life. And that would be not such a great strategy. So there are a couple things to consider. One, you don't want to throw anything out that's going to double up the board. If I throw out this 5, my opponent only needs 1 5 to pick up this pile, which is kind of a bummer because he's probably going to do it and get some points. The second thing is, what if I throw something out that I actually could use? So, for example, this 10 Jack Queen, I could put down immediately and get 30 points. Not bad. But I could also throw one of these cards out and see what Alligator can do. Why in the world would I do that? I'm going to plant a card here in the hopes that Alligator can't use it when he picks up from the deck and throws out. I'll be able to pick my card back again, put my points down, and throw out whatever that other card that he couldn't use was. So let's think that through a little bit more. Which of these 3 would I throw out to make my planting plan work? Well, I could throw out the 10, and in order for Alligator to use the 10, he would need 2 10s to make a set of 10s, or he'd have to be able to make a run. Since I have the 10 Jack Queen, can't make the higher end of the run. He could have 8 9 and then the 10 to make a run. So there's some risk there. In addition, I want to think, can my opponent use the 5? In this case, I've got one of the 5s, so the chances of him being able to use that to make a set are relatively small. He could possibly make a run with it, though, because I don't have the 4 3 or the 6 7 of spades. In this case, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to throw out this 10 in hopes that my opponent can't use either of these, which he couldn't. And afterwards, I'll pick up this 10 again, use it with my 10 Jack Queen, and throw out the card that he threw out and couldn't use. In that case, I get my card back for free, and I force Alligator to throw something out that possibly I can use, which in this case, I already used that 10, so I would have to pick up from the pile. But that's an example of how planting could work. So here, positioning still matters. In this case, Penguin's the dealer, so we get to go first. This 6 I can't use, so I'm forced to pick up from the pile. Now, we talked about planting just earlier. I don't have anything that I can really plant to certainly use when the turn comes back around to me, Alligator, Turkey, and Penguin have played. But at the same time, the next best thing, putting something down where I could possibly use it later, it's already been done for me. I've got this 5 here, which I could use with the 6 if I get lucky and someone throws out the 4. In addition, as opposed to in a 2-person game, where there's less chance of our opponent being able to pick up the pile, and we can dictate with our play more of what's going to happen, there's a lot more unknowns out there because we've got 3 other players that get to play before we have a second crack out of it. So let's throw out something that we can't use, considering we can already possibly use this 6 later on. I'm going to throw out the 4 and see what our opponents do. So that's an example of where the number of players in the game really can dictate your style of play. So in this case, I can pick up the 4 and the 6 to work with my 5. Similar to the planting strategy that I was talking about earlier, I didn't specifically plant the 6, but it's working out in my favor. I thought I might be able to use it later, and so I didn't throw out something that I could necessarily use. The 6 was already there for me to use. So I'll pick up from the 6, put these down, and now I've got a lot of cards in my hand. In this case, given I'm probably not going to win this game by getting rid of all of my cards, one of my other opponents will. So sometimes you got to think, am I trying to go out fast, or am I trying to just get a lot of points and subtract the least? In this case, when I picked up that 6, I pretty much made that choice that I'm trying to collect a lot of points. I know I'm going to subtract before this round is over. And so I'm going to try to get stuck with the least number of cards as possible at this point, with the least number of points. So I'm going to throw out the queen. Even though I could possibly use it with this jack, someone would have to throw out the king of hearts. The 10 of hearts I already used. Chances are pretty low. In this case, looking around, 3 cards, 4 cards, 1 card, there's very high chances that somebody's going to be able to go out. I'm going to pick up this jack and put these down, get this 3 down over here. I know I'm going to have to subtract points, almost certainly. Get this 8 down too. And I'll throw out the 9, which is worth the most points in my hand, to not get stuck with it. So, really, again, part of the name of the game is knowing when it makes sense to pick up the pile and get a bunch of cards to get points. Knowing where your opponents are in terms of ability for them to go out. And trying to minimize the damage in your own hand of not taking on too many points to subtract. And now I'm almost positive that turkey or penguin is going to be able to go out. But, again, our aim in that case wasn't to be the first one to go out. It was to accumulate a lot of points and subtract as little as we possibly could. In this case, we've got a hand where we've got 2 7s, 2 3s, and a 7 and 3 on the board. We have a pretty good opportunity to go out fast. And so, in this case, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to try to go out fast and get our opponents stuck with a lot of cards in their hands. Now, you might think, well, why would I not put down these 3s? Well, as we talked about before, it might make sense to hang on to it, and we might get an opportunity to go out all at once and get our opponents stuck with lots of cards, which, again, was part of the strategy I was mentioning earlier, of going out fast. Going out fast doesn't always mean just putting down all your cards at once. It means getting your opponents stuck with as many cards as possible. In this case, we were oh so close. We pick up the 3, we put down the 8. Let's do that. I know we don't quite get out, but there's a good chance that we'll be able to on the next round. I really don't want to throw out these aces together in case somebody has one. So I will hold on to it, even though there's 3 2s on the board. Now, why didn't I pick up those 3 2s? Again, we have 1 card left, and our aim is to go out fast. And so it can again, often makes sense to not do that in attempts to go out quickly. And looks like we got pretty unlucky. Our opponents used all those aces. I'll throw it out now. And Turkey was able to accomplish what we couldn't. But it's a very similar idea. We didn't score a lot of points, but we weren't left with a lot of points either. So we'll end up decently net positive. The guys that were going for a lot of points did have to subtract a lot. Penguin got a bit lucky that he was able to pick up the pile and use a ton of cards in there. More of the situation of what happened to Alligator is what we're aiming for. We got a decent amount of points, but got stuck with a lot of cards and had to subtract a lot. So, it didn't work out perfectly in this case, and doesn't always, but that would be one of the other strategies that I would implement in playing 500 Rummy.
If you like what you see, make sure you hit that like button below and subscribe. If you have a game that you're interested in hearing my strategies on and want to get my opinion, make sure to post in the comments below. Thanks, guys.